There we go. Hey guys, and welcome to the first episode of Constant Agitation, our podcast. Today is going to be our first episode streaming live, and you will be able to also listen to it later on your favorite podcast
Platform. Yeah.
streaming platform. My name is Jimmy, and I'm here today with Eva as well.
Yeah. I'm Eva, in case you guys haven't seen or the videos before.
And we posted on Instagram earlier that we are coming live, and we asked for some questions about photography and other things that that you guys might be wondering about. We got a few. We didn't give you enough time to do it, but the post is still there. If you want, you can go check it out, leave some questions, and we will address them in future episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think? How about we start with some introductions? You want to go first?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea for our first episode of this new podcast, Constant Agitation. My name is Eva Garmendia. I am a biologist, microbiologist by training, but I'm here because I also love photography, and in particular analog photography, film photography. And I have a little bit of background also working with some clients doing digital photography work. And yes, I guess photography is what we're going to talk about here.
For sure. Let me start out by asking you a question. How do you feel about that?
Sure.
All right. So I'm sure you get asked this question a lot, all the time. So I think you might have some ready answer for it.
We'll see. I'm a bit scared now.
All right. So why do you shoot film?
Why do I shoot film? That's a quintessential question, isn't it? Why do we shoot film instead of just going with digital? Especially in my case, when I actually work with both things at the moment. I think maybe the quick and ready answer is that analog and film photography makes me feel a certain way about photography that digital doesn't. And it's a way that makes me really happy when I'm shooting analog and film photography. Why does it make me feel happy when I shoot analog photography? I think it's just because I feel more connected with the photography and the photographic process itself when I'm shooting film than when I'm shooting digital.
All right.
What about you, Jimmy?
But like, how do you mean by being more connected?
I think for me it's about like I take the time to be in it. I am much more conscious about what I'm doing with the camera and with the image I'm trying to get than when I'm shooting digital, basically.
I thought about this for a while, and I always ask myself the question because I do agree. I do feel like I have to take my time more with the film, but I wonder why. Because in the moment, I'm not necessarily thinking about how much it's gonna cost me to take the frame or to take another one, even though it does play a factor, because it's not for free.
It's not unlimited
Yeah,
now.
right. But I think it's the whole experience, even the cameras themselves. Like I definitely when I'm shooting with an automatic film camera, I tend to fire more photos than when I'm working with something that is fully manual. Just because the option is there and I can just click one button
Yeah.
and take the photo. Losing that ability kind of forces you into, as you said, take more time and think more about your composition. But there is definitely like a whole charm to the whole thing, like besides the experience. And
Yeah, it's also perhaps if you get really into it, I think analog photography gives you the possibilities to be much more involved with the whole process, from the idea of the photo you want to take till taking the photo and then making something with the photo, right? Like can be part of taking the photo, developing the film, seeing what is on the film, maybe making a print of it. So you have the possibilities to be much more involved in the whole process.
that's true. That's definitely a strong point as well, especially if you develop yourself like we do. I'm not saying that if you don't, that takes away from the experience, but there's just so many things, so many parts to making the image. that you have to baby it all across the way to the finish line.
And
In a
you
way.
do it consciously also,
Yeah,
right?
I it's definitely a much more nuanced process. But here's my question: how does that make you feel about digital photography?
Mm, in what regard? What do you mean about how do I feel about? If I feel like it
Is
makes
it
it
more,
less.
yeah, is it more disposable? Is it less of a thing? Is it a different thing? How do
Hmm.
they sit together in your head?
I don't think that one lessens the other. I think both they have their place and both they can have their weaknesses and their strengths, and both depending on what the person or the photographer is looking after, they might be more prone to use digital or work more in digital than in film, for example. I find that if you want to just learn by trial and error a lot,
Mm.
digital is a very good medium, right? Because you can
Instantly.
instantly shoot, see the result, change some settings, try again, and that's a quick way to learn through it. You know, like you push through it. You get into photography, you don't know absolutely anything of how to get the right exposure or the right effect you want, and then you have your digital camera there available to play with immediately and try to
That's
get
true.
the things you want.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like if you're trying to learn about the different settings of your camera, see how the depth of field is different from one aperture to the other,
Mm-hmm.
it's much more instantaneous, obviously,
Yeah.
to do it on a digital camera and look through. So I don't consider myself to be like, let's say, a purist or like totally against digital, because if you stumble upon our channel and you see that all of the videos that we do are about film, it's because we can do that, and that's what we like to do.
Mm-hmm. And also what we like to share, right?
Yeah, that of course, like we're sharing something that we're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that I'm not passionate about digital photography. Like, you know how much I love my Micro Four Third cameras.
Yes.
We're actually using them right now, so you guys
Yeah.
can see us, and they're beautiful cameras to play with. But I have a feeling if I'm gonna take a photo that I might want to print, it makes more sense just to grab a 6x9 or a medium format
Mm-hmm.
camera to do so. You know what I mean? And I think recently I've always been shooting with printing in mind, even though I
Yeah.
haven't printed so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I aspire to print a lot of my, like, more of my work than I actually do.
Mm.
And I think this is a good aim to have if you're a photographer, that are doing things on your own. Just print your work. It will change the way you feel about it. You will come to appreciate it more.
Yeah, it's kind of like a funny phenomenon that you take a photo and then you might see it just there in the negative or in your screen in the computer, and it doesn't feel like it's much, or maybe it's not as good as you expected it to be. But then if you actually print it and put it in a frame, or if you actually put it together with another photo in some sort of like composition, or you put it inside a video like we have done before, then the whole feeling about the photo can change.
That is true. I'm afraid that we might be having some sync issues. So if you guys that are watching live, if you notice anything, this is our first time, so please be patient and let us know. I'm looking at the chat. Hey, the desert. Thank you for watching. If you're still here, please let us know if we have any sync issues with the audio and video, and we will fix it. Um, but that's that. Um, so yeah. So I think it's what we're trying to say with this whole conversation
Mm-hmm.
is that if you don't if you shoot film or digital, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate digital, or I don't say that digital could completely replace film, or film could completely replace digital. No, I think they're complementary, and there are like two different mediums, as we have like discussed before, that you can use for photography, and I really encourage everyone to kind of get the best out of both if possible.
I agree. I always in my head imagine it to be like painting with watercolor or oil.
Yeah.
It's just like using different tools
Mm-hmm.
to get the same or whatever result you end up getting at the end.
This is an interesting idea, right? Because there is also this thing called mixed media
Yeah.
art, which is like you work with different like acrylics together with watercolor, with ink. So this could be an interesting thing to do some experiments mixing digital photography with analog photography and do a mixed media project.
That's true. You know, one of my favorite music artists, Steven
Yeah.
Wilson, he has, I think, what was it called? A Hand Cannot Erase, the album cover.
I really like that album.
It's photographs with the oil painting on top.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, The Desert. He actually, or she, told us that we have a little bit of delay. So I'm going to try to really quickly fix that. Meanwhile, maybe you can tell us something you want to tell us about.
What do I want to tell you about?
Sorry for putting you on the spot like that.
Well, first of all, say thank you to the people that are watching. And if you're watching later, after this is uploaded, also thank you for being here and going through with us on this first episode podcast and the first project of this new 2021 year, which I hope it brings us a lot of good surprises, more than bad surprises.
Right. Do you want to jump into the questions maybe?
I can do that. Let me just grab my phone and go through what we got from one of our people in Instagram. And I do want to have you maybe also in the conversation because I think this is a very interesting topic. We had someone that commented that video is or was their passion and they made it their job, and then having clients to do that work has made it not enjoy as much doing video work. And they were asking if this has something like this has happened to me or to you, Jimmy, and how do we deal with it. He is kind of commenting that they do video effects work and the clients are very picky and very perfectionist and they want changes down to the pixel. And they're saying that we all the time in our videos says things like whatever happens, like that's a bit of the attitude we have when we go out and shoot and when we shoot our video as well, and that has really inspired them to go back and do work, which is really nice. So what do we have to say about that? I can talk a little bit about my personal experience regarding this topic of having clients and how that affects your creativity and how that plays a role in the whole relationship that one can have with their art. There are several aspects here, I think. So in my experience or my background is I always been interested in photography since I'm very young. I started learning a bit more about photography art and how to take photographs and light, how one works with light. And quickly I got very into analog photography because the things that we mentioned before, it makes me really happy. So I was for a few years working with analog cameras and film, and I started getting more into shooting people or friends around, basically like portraits and lifestyle kind of shoots, so very natural kind of photographs. And for doing that, I moved more into the digital media because what we say before, if you want like quick results, if you want to see and learn quickly, doing digital is an advantage. So I took my digital camera, the one I had back then, and I started to take photos of my friends and check like in the moment, okay, how can I get a better portrait, how can I get a good photo that had feeling. That's what I was after. And people started telling me that they really enjoyed being in shoots with me and getting photographed by me and the collections that they were getting. So they encouraged me more and more to maybe offer this to more people, like to get clients and work with people directly. And I went ahead with it because I also like the personal aspect of it, and I like meeting people, and I like making them feel comfortable in front of the camera. And I really, really, really like that people can have memories in forms of photographs, long time, right? So I focused so much on that I kind of left the side of the creative photography and the analog photography and film photography on the side because I focused so much on that. And then I realized that, yeah, working with clients, because you also do a somewhat repetitive work, for me, it did, I think, affected my creativity, and it affected my willingness to put time on being more creative and shooting more in analog. So for a few years, I actually left it completely on the side, and I did nothing with film photography.
I remember you telling me that.
Yes, when we met, I told you that,
Yeah.
and I mean, you know that you are the reason why I went back to it. So
I don't know. I don't know if it's for the good or
the bad,
the
no,
worst.
it's for the good,
I
obviously.
hope so for sure.
I right now also still take client work, and I work with people, and I work with digital. But I'm really, really happy that that you put me back into realizing how much I missed it and how much I wanted to go back to that thinking and that creative mindset.
Here's what I want to say about this. I think to answer the question, I think you have to decide what's really important for you personally.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I started taking photos, I just basically just stole my dad's camera and I started taking photos with it. He didn't really mind too much. He wasn't using it that much. He had it for work when he needed to take photos of, items for sale. And so when I had it for a while, I started meeting other people who were interested in photography. Some of them were already working, and some of them were trying to get some work. And I tried as well to maybe follow that path a little bit. And at the same time, I was learning about different photographers, different styles, different things to do with the camera, and I really wanted to spend my time more being creative than trying to follow client work.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you can't do both at the same time.
Yes.
It's maybe the holy grail of the whole thing.
There's a path to there. I think there's a path how one can get to that point.
Yes, but what I was trying to say is I started going to gigs, music gigs, taking photos of the musicians,
Mm-hmm.
and doing all that kind of stuff. I got some good feedback on my work. People used my photos. I didn't get paid at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say if my photos were used because they were good or because they were free. I'd like to believe that it's maybe some of both.
Yeah, I think your work with the bands was really nice and also creative at the same time.
Yeah, but I started to reach a point where, as that question was mentioning, is that you kind of have to put your own vision to the side and do whatever the customer wants. And that is the right thing to do.
That is it's a very fine line between one point and the other point, actually.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is in that scenario,
Mm-hmm.
that is the right thing to do. If it's a paid job, you're supposed to deliver. You're supposed to give the people what they are paying you for. If they ask for a specific thing, right, you should deliver that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have your own limits. You can say,
Yeah.
this is what I'm willing to do. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm not willing to do. If you're asking me to do this, it's not included in the package that I offer. But I understand the pickiness of a customer might be something that maybe it's not something that you want to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the job. I've worked some other jobs as well that were not even related to photography, and there was a lot of many parts of it that I didn't like, but it was a part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
So just think about it like that. Think about it like it's a part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really let it affect your creative work. Take time off.
And do your own personal projects. That's
Exactly.
very important.
Yeah, maybe like have a plan to make a specific project and
Mhm.
follow through with it, and then you can have it as your creative outlet. I don't know. I think that's but if you're burning out too much on it, that's the
Mhm.
thing. It drove me personally, and I'm not saying that my experience has to be the same for everybody, but
Mhm.
maybe some people have similar experiences. For me, it drove me to the point that I didn't want to touch the camera anymore.
Yeah,
Do you
I
know
understand.
what I mean? And you know how I feel about taking portraits of people.
Yeah.
Um, if they have a say in it, I'm not interested in taking it. Basically, I can take your portrait when you're not aware, but unless you're a professional model, I'm not interested in having that kind of work. I'm trying to work on it myself, as well as we talked privately, but I really respect your ability that you can go do the work that is required and then don't let it affect you and take it back. That's why I thought if you don't have that in you to do it, don't let it completely deter you from photography as a whole,
Yeah.
as it did for me for a
Mhm.
while. Because for a while, I really didn't want to touch the camera anymore. It was bothering me to take photos. I just felt like
You were forced to be in a position you didn't really want to be in,
yeah, I
or
can
do things you didn't want to do.
yeah,
For me, my problem was mostly that my creative side got a little bit like numb, because I was doing work that was kind of like fast popping out sessions and like 1 hour type of work with people that you never met before. So you don't have so much time to establish a connection and try to be a bit more creative, but still delivering a product that the client is going to be happy with. So you basically, what I did is I have my style, my type of photos. They know what they're going to get. I go there and I do my job and they get them basically. But it's a little bit, constrained in that regard. So I felt like my creative side was like getting numb, and I wasn't really exercising this creative side, which I think is needed. If you want to get creative, you need to use it. There's always the comparison that creativity is a little bit like a muscle. You need to work with it in order to develop it.
right. That is absolutely true. And we got a interesting question on the chat. Melon from
Mhm.
the Film Photography Discord.
Yes.
He's asking he's asking, do you take pictures for your own when you're out on a job, on a paid job?
Do I take pictures on my own? I sometimes I will take risks in a sense if I feel like I have the time in a sense. A lot of the occasions I am in a time constriction. So, but if I feel like I have the time, so for example, I have a little bit of a longer session or I have another type of different session, I might take some risk, which is try to take some pictures that I have in my head that I might not have taken before, but that I think, oh, this might work. Maybe later I put it in the computer and I think, oh, this is trash. I don't want to even deliver this. But other times, those ideas they actually turn into something that I'm very happy with and I can implement more in my work. So sometimes I do that. I try different things, or if I work with a client, for example, that inspires me a lot, that means that we get like a really good flow and their vision is very much my vision, and I might get a little bit more like brave, right, and try to do something different. And in general, in those cases, it does work well because I think we're in the same vibe, the client and me, and I can just say, okay, I want to take this thing I have in my mind because I would like to have that, and they are always generally okay with it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I had very, very few paid jobs. It was mostly jobs that other people couldn't make, and they recommended me uh, instead. But I also always come with a warning, like this guy is gonna do whatever he wants, and if you like it, he's good. If you like it, you're gonna like it. But if you don't, you're not gonna like
And
it.
that's how it should be, kind of.
I agree, but I always, because I wasn't doing it as my profession,
Mm,
I always told them that, hey, if you, um, I like what you're doing and I want to take your photos. So basically, all the photos were for me,
mm.
the same time as they were for the other
Yeah.
person. And so it was like, if you like them and if you want to pay any amount, you can do that.
It's like more like a donation,
Yeah, you
sort
can
of. Yeah.
donate if you
Like,
like the
yeah.
photos, because I'm not willing. I wasn't willing to do anything that I didn't feel like intuitively like doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this is the right attitude to go about it,
It
but
is a attitude. I mean, you put the limits on the work you wanna do, being paid or not paid. It's your craft in a sense.
yeah,
But I also think, going back to the question that they posed to us, how to deal with it. I feel like as an artist, any kind of artist, video artist, painting artist, whatever, when someone contracts you, especially if you have a well-built portfolio, they can really see the job that you've done before. You know, they are contracting and they are getting you because they like what you do as an artist. So believe that what you are doing out of your passion and out of what you like, it's something that the client most likely is gonna be okay with it too. And if they are not, which of course there always happens, there are difficult clients and there are clients that you're never really going to satisfy them no matter what you do, because they have their own vision. Those people just don't really know how to be clients of arts and crafts, I feel like, because you are getting you it's a difference between getting a full-on service, like it could be fixing a faucet. You when you get a plumber to come and fix your faucet, the end result is a faucet that's working perfectly, not leaking in your kitchen, right? That is a service like that. But when you are getting a contract with an artist, you are contracting the artist, not the final result in itself.
That's true.
I feel like it a little bit.
100%. I agree. No, that is it. It's a different thing. It is a different thing for sure.
And some people don't know how to be clients in that area. And you need to have that in mind. You are gonna come across people that just are not good clients in that sense. You just deal with them as you can. You move on and let not to that to kind of be the norm. It's gonna be an exception, and try not to make it affect your work.
Yeah, that is true. I have to say, like, from not because I know you personally and the relationship we have, but you always like seem to have a very nice positive attitude about this. And even though going into any job, you have no idea how it's going to turn out. But I feel like going in with that positive attitude, you kind of force it into being a positive interaction, unless the person that you're dealing with, which happened maybe once or twice in all the jobs that you had, were hell bent on being a negative person.
Yeah.
And they were not going to be satisfied with whatever.
Yes. Or they really had such a like close-up idea of what they wanted to get out of the photo shoot that I saw there is no wiggle room for me to do anything different, or to do something that I even consider would look good. But I think it's a little bit of a skill to develop, that quickly you can learn how they go, the client, like what type of client it is. And when I come across these kind of people, which they exist, of course, then in that moment I am not really an artistic photographer, let's say. I'm just there to take the photos they want, even if I don't think that this is anything worth it. Like, okay, you want me to put yourself there completely in this corner, which makes no sense to me to do such a photo. I do it, but I know that doesn't really affect what I do. It's just like, I don't know, it's like I'm out there to buy groceries. Maybe it's not my job to buy groceries, but I go and I do it,
Yeah, that's true. All right, we had another question, I think.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we got two. Were they on the same subject, or?
Yeah, they were on the same subject. That's what he was saying in the Instagram. Yeah, they were on the same topic.
All right. And as I said earlier, the post on Instagram is just going to run its course. So if you want to leave questions for the next episode, please do that. And we will also, next week, hopefully, put another one up. All right. Let me check the chat really quickly.
Yes, it's a bit difficult to keep a flow while reading something. Right. I'm sorry. Maybe we get better about it.
Yeah, this is totally like as we go. So it's only up from here, I promise.
Yeah.
All right. How about we get into
the second topic of today's podcast?
Right.
Something super cool that we just found recently.
Let's do that. All right, guys. I might not be able to see the chat for a moment.
I have it here in any case.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right then. So let me do this. I want to show you this thing.
I really like that Miguel Ru, he commented, the good thing of not working as a photographer is that I can surprise myself with new mistakes. It reminds me of like the painter Ross, that he said, like, there are no mistakes, there are happy accidents. So think about it like that. There are no mistakes. I think from every happy accident one can learn something, even if it's, I don't know, the dumbest thing that you thought you might do. With photography, you will learn from it.
That's I mean, mistakes are the best way to learn if you think about it.
That's the only way to learn, kind of.
Maybe.
Because if everything works, how do you... I mean, I don't know. I'm a scientist, so for me, my motto is like try to find something that doesn't work, so then it will tell you that the hypothesis is not working. That's how we work.
That's true. All right, so now, are you watching the stream over there?
Yes, I am.
So
It looks nice. We're in the corner there.
cool. So a while ago, what I like to do, because I kind of almost gave up completely on client work, I like to go around and browse photo galleries and check out what fine art photographers are doing, get inspiration from there. And I found this gallery a while back, and I didn't really do any reading about it. I just saw these photos, and I tried to figure it out in my head. How did
How this came about?
right? They're so cool. I'm showing you some of them right here. I just saw these photos, and they just stood out to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out by just looking at them. I couldn't even get close.
Isn't that like this is what I love. Like that the way the reason why I love abstract art is because I have to figure it out. You know, like I have to stop and I have to look into it and I have to think, what is it? What did the artist intended? What is it that it means to me? And with these photos, I feel like it was the same. You see them and immediately you want to know, okay, how was this made? How was it even possible? And mostly knowing that it's, photography kind of within photography.
Exactly. And I think I find myself, I kind of pride myself on usually being good at guessing what happened there.
Yeah, but did you guess this one?
Not at all.
Not at all.
I failed so hard.
That was cool also. Try to find what it was, right?
Yeah, I mean, I racked my brain and I came with some ideas on how did they do this. But of course, Eva, being the scientist she is, she immediately started reading, which I sometimes forget that that's a thing people do. Oh shit, you can read. But
he looks at the visual things and I read the stuff. It's a nice joint venture.
yeah, and definitely. What I was gonna say is that I'm gonna go through the photos.
Yeah. So Miguel, sorry, he said like here, is that a double exposition or how? Wow.
Right, it's fascinating. And for those of you listening, I'm sorry you can't see these pictures. I will link to the.
Yeah,
we'll leave a link to the gallery in the podcast
it's
stuff.
Definitely worth checking it out.
Yes, and maybe for future episodes, try to take a look on the video cast as well. But I'm gonna try to describe it as best as I can. What we're looking at are silhouettes of human figures, basically, that are mostly two tones. I think all of them are just two tones. So
monotone kind of, yeah.
Yeah. The background is one color, and the figure of the human is basically drawn with points of light. I don't know how good it is on the stream, but if you zoom in, they all look kind of like bokeh balls.
Yeah, like they are like little points of light, basically.
Yeah, like almost like the stars in the sky flickering with different intensities.
Beautiful patterns, beautiful.
Yeah. These are photographs by a photographer called Christopher Bucklow. And he's a contemporary. He's still working, right?
Yeah, he is. Actually, this series that we're looking at right now, it's still ongoing. It's not really finished. So he still makes this.
All right. And they're very beautiful. The first
Miguel is trying to guess very hard.
All right, so I'm gonna tell Miguel what I thought the first time. I thought these were negatives that were photographed. So different emulsions. They kind of look with these colors, especially the orange ones.
Yeah.
And I thought that they just took a photo of the negative on a light table, but they made holes in it, in a way, to make the light
go through
the holes. But I knew that it wasn't that. Like I knew that's the closest thing in my head.
Yeah. Well, it's not completely so far off. Also, Miguel here said the cardboard on front of the lenses, maybe a projector over the body. So the cardboard on front of the lens is almost the closest thing we got, right?
Yeah. So maybe
we're really hyping up this mystery.
Hold on, let me see if I can show you. Do you want to tell them the name of the camera?
The name of the camera?
Right.
the 35,000...
25.
Oh, sorry. I went 10 more. 25,000 pinhole camera.
25,000 aperture camera.
25,000 aperture camera, sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
Which-
25,000 pinholes. They called it different things on
Yeah,
different
but 25,000 aperture camera sounded super weird. I was so confused when I read that. I'm like,
Right.
what?
What does that mean? And
But then we learned a little bit more, and it became clear and apparent what it is.
yes, and this is the artist himself standing next to the camera.
Witchcraft. Miguel says, is it witchcraft?
Well,
It's the closest.
it is kind of. Here is the camera, which looks like a cabinet, basically.
Hmm.
And
I think myself is covering there.
all right, so let me fix that.
Yeah, no,
really.
it was a bit delayed in the stream.
There he is.
Mhm.
Look at him.
He looks much older now.
Have you seen a recent picture?
Yeah, he's like 60 something.
So what he did basically here is that he used cyanotype. Was it?
Well, you mean the paper
Yeah.
that he used? So the name of the paper is where did I put this? Mm.
We're trying to figure it out.
No, yeah, I know exactly where to find.
I'm looking at the article, by the way.
Yeah, it's called Cibachrome.
Cibachrome.
Cibachrome chromogenic paper or prints.
So he used this paper to, as you would in a film negative camera, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of having a lens, he has these pinholes.
So he basically has a tin foil surface,
Yeah.
and then he makes many cameras in it, because every hole that you make is actually a camera in itself, a pinhole camera.
So what he's doing is basically all of these photographs that we saw. I don't know if we can call them.
We can call them photographs.
Yeah, they're basically drawings. He said that these are figures that he saw in his dreams.
Yes.
Right.
So every one of the silhouettes is from a character that he found in his dreams.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he makes a silhouette of it, and then he makes all these many holes.
Yeah. So basically, he draws these figures using like maybe a pin or something to make holes in the tin, and then he takes it out,
puts it on a roof,
on a rooftop, and let the sun blast through these holes.
Yes.
And then he just develops these papers.
So there are solar photographs. I guess in the end, everything you take outside is a solar photograph, kind of.
That is true. Unless you're shooting at night, or.
Yeah, he takes pictures of the sun. Yeah, Miguel was right. He's saying so. He takes pictures of the sun, and he has a lot of free time. Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't need to baby the camera.
Yeah, you can just
leave
it there and come
then,
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't recall reading how long the exposures were, but I read that the process is similar to the daguerreotype and the subsequent type of photography back in the 1800s. So I think it's long exposures, and also there are pinholes, which means the light comes it much lower.
Yeah, there's a quick interview on.
We'll leave the link as well.
Yeah, on a website called lightresearch.net. Those of you watching the stream can see it right now, and here you can have all the information if you wanna take a look for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a really fun idea, I think, to experiment with. I've seen a lot of cool things being done in the past and even recently.
Yeah. Can you go back to the photograph so we just talk for a moment about what we were kind of discussing, if how close the paper might be to the holes or not, and if that might get a different result?
That's true. I will find the one that you are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, or a different number of them we can see, because we were discussing, like, so how far away does he actually put the paper from the holes, which is how far away do you put your film
how deep, basically.
Yeah, how deep, how much distance there is between.
Because looking at the box, I would say it's about half a meter deep, the box itself.
Because so in some of them it's very defined.
Yeah.
But in others, it's very, very glowy.
Right, and it's hard to say if the effect is the amount of holes or the distance
Mm-hmm.
or maybe a mix of both.
Combination, yeah.
So what we kind of guessed a little bit is that if the box is sitting like this on its back, if you have a wood plank in the middle going diagonally,
Uh-huh.
and then you have your paper loaded on
Exactly. Yeah.
top, the holes that are making impression on the top side
Yeah.
that is closer to the
To the
tin,
holes themselves.
yeah,
Mhm.
these would be brighter,
Brighter and much more defined
right?
because there will be no enough space for the light to
To
diffuse.
project,
Yeah.
yeah. And then as you go down, you will have less light
Mhm.
and bigger circles, basically.
Yeah. And more of glow or more spillover of light, basically.
But here, looking at this photo, it looks like the spillover is happening more towards the top,
In the
where
head, yeah.
there's more light intensity. So I'm kind of curious what's going on.
What do you guys think?
I think the only way to really know is to try it.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Maybe we should try. We have some black and white paper.
We do.
We don't have sand though.
That is that is the ultimate problem. You know what? I'm looking at it, and as I'm scrolling through, it looks like the size of the circles are about the same.
All of the circles.
Yeah, the outline at least,
Yeah.
because you can see he made an outline,
Yeah.
and then he filled in the rest of the
Yeah.
shape.
Very interesting. Super pretty, so eerie, and also so delicate at the same time. I don't know. I really like it.
He's a really good painter as well.
Yes. I think he actually did some work with painting as well before. I think I read.
Yeah, I wonder what happened with the very glowy ones like this one.
Mm.
It looks completely overblown in the middle. Maybe he just made a bigger hole at the end.
This one is super, super glowy. Look, you can not even see in the.
Yeah, the
Maybe it's
details
longer
are gone.
exposure also. Who knows?
Could be that. It definitely could be something like that.
This series, by the way, is called Guests, and it was created using a 30 by 40 inches camera. So that the inches is telling you the size of the sensor or the size of the film, or the size of the paper he used. Very big. I think that can be called ultra large format.
Yeah, that's one of the craziest formats you can probably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
That's
think
cool.
there's a video here.
Mm.
I don't know. Should we watch it together, or maybe I don't know if we're allowed to play this.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually.
But here you can see him exposing. I don't know what he's doing exactly here. He's either taking the exposure or loading the camera.
Mm-hmm.
But as we said, we'll leave all the links. There are two galleries, two series.
Yes.
Guests and how do you say that word? Tetrarchs.
Tetrarchs,
Tetrarch.
which has to mean something with four something.
Maybe.
Tetrarchs. Yeah. It's where these two. No, here in 90. Yeah, Guest and Tetrarchs were the foundational works for Britain's contemporary negative-less photography movement.
So direct positive
Yeah.
meaning.
Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. I also love analog photography because it allows you to do these crazy kind of experiments and different process and techniques, and really once you understand how light works and how you actually make a photograph, you can get crazy with it.
That's true. There was remember the chemistry channel we like to watch, Nile Red.
Yeah.
He actually did. He's not a photographer at all.
He's a chemist.
Yeah, and he did a similar experiment by using digital files, and then he kind of
Made a negative
flipped
of them.
them, made them negative, and then he actually made his own paper, because obviously he's a chemist, and I think that was the idea of the video, is that he wants to make his own
Cyanotype paper.
Yeah.
So it's reactive to light. Actually, I do have a kit in that cabinet over there, which is a kit to make
T-shirts.
T-shirts.
Right? Yeah.
So what you do is you have your photo, you make it a negative, you print it in acetate, so it's transparency, and then you put a specific type of ink on top of any T-shirt you want. You put the negative on top, and then you put it on the sun. And you wait for half an hour, and then you take it in, you wash it in the washing machine, and then only the ink that has reacted to the light will come up as a color, and then you have it. So it's the same concept.
True.
In summer, maybe we can make some T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting for the sun
way too long
for many seasons. Yeah, anything else you want to cover? You want to talk a little bit about the trip?
We can do that. So we update the people also in our channel, our regular subscribers, what's going on and why we've been silent for a little while and what's coming up, hopefully at some point.
Yeah.
We've been live for 47 minutes. I'm just letting you know.
All right, so we're closing up very soon.
Yeah. So, yeah, tell us, Jimmy, what we've been doing this past few weeks.
Well, we were... here's how the whole thing started, right? I really want to buy a large format camera. That's
this is the beginning of any good story.
So we were looking online, and I mean, it's crazy to buy a thing like that online, I feel like. And the prices are up. And so we found a few good ones in Sweden, but they were snatched before we...
Very quickly.
Yeah. So the idea was to go to Copenhagen because there are more camera stores over there, and maybe have a look around. At least learn more about the different cameras, see them in person, and then maybe buy one on the spot or order one that we like online. But then all the borders were closed, and we were like, well, Sweden is a big country. Let's plan a trip
around Sweden, right? Somewhere.
And so we decided to just drive across the whole place.
Yes. So for anybody that doesn't really know about Sweden geography, it's a very long country. So basically it goes north is on the Arctic Circle, and then it goes down all the way to Denmark position, more or less. So like to Central Europe. So it's a very long country, and we are positioned in the lower third, I would say, not the half of the country, it's in the lower third. So we decided to just take a car and drive all the way to the north. Because we missed the snow a bit.
Actually, surprisingly, when we started looking into this, because it's been overcast here for a long time, and even though we're kind of, I don't know if the lucky is the right word to use in this in this context, but there hasn't been any lockdown, and so you can still like carry on with life as normal. But with 2 months of basically overcast, it gets depressing really quickly.
It is, yeah. If you have to go through winter, I would say it's much better if it's a white winter and it snows, because there is so much more light reflected and available of the little light you have during the day. But when you have overcast the whole day, week after week, month after month, it becomes very tiresome.
That's true. So the idea was maybe if we drive south, we can get some sun, but that was not available. And then we decided to check how is the weather looking in the north. And it was snowy and sunny at the same time. So it's the perfect combination.
It was really nice
to break the gloominess of this winter. And so we went for it. And then we... you want to talk about the logistics of the films and the cameras that we lugged with us?
So we decided to make it a photography trip, of course, because, it's us. And we thought, okay, if we're going to take a trip to see the rest of the country, we might as well bring also cameras and film. And then the thing kind of developed more into, okay, so maybe we can do a documentary type of work of the places we visit, and perhaps have good work to make a body of work of the trip, right? So we decided to take a bunch of cameras, and when I say a bunch, it's a bunch, and a bunch of film. And the good thing is that we had our own car, so we were not limited in space or anything, so we could just take as much as we wanted. So we took how many cameras in the end, Jimmy?
I don't remember.
8? 9?
Well, two
something like that.
F3s, the small Canon,
Yeah.
and RZ, Fuji,
Mamiya C2
Mamiya C, and the
and
two digital ones.
yeah,
8.
that's 8 cameras.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's about 8 cameras and a lot of film.
Yes.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
What was your favorite camera in the trip?
You know the answer to that, though. My favorite camera, I really love the Mamiya C. I
Right?
love working with it.
And
And
how?
also, you had to have in account we went to kind of extreme weather conditions. It was really cold. So we quickly realized that the best performing cameras are the ones that are fully manual.
Fully
No,
mechanical.
full mechanical, yeah. So they don't rely on any electronics, batteries, etc. And the Mamiya C is fully mechanical, so it really did very well. I hope I haven't seen the photos yet, so.
Yeah, we plan to develop starting tonight. But here's the thing. With the F3s,
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of them, we had an issue with one.
No, it wasn't really an issue.
Was it, that was just loading it at the
Yeah, yeah.
beginning. All right. So both of the
They did very
F3s
well.
performed amazingly,
Yeah.
even though they're electronics.
Yeah, but I think it might be a little bit different. I don't know, like your F3 is actually like a heavy horse duty workhorse because it's made for, professional journalists and stuff. So I think it's probably built to be outside and to be like, on extreme weather conditions somewhat.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that even with that, with the difference between
Yeah.
the two, we didn't have any problems with the other one.
No.
It worked
Yeah,
just
yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah. It worked nice.
Yeah. So the F3 is definitely recommended for.
Yeah, the F3 is. I mean, it's really nice to have as you like always on you camera.
No.
Because also having it with the very nice working light meter, it will calculate the exposure for you and you can work quite quickly with it. The Mamiya is another thing. It's just the Mamiya C, you really have to take the time and take it shot with a lot of mindfulness.
Yeah, but as the Fuji did,
Mm-hmm.
no problem whatsoever.
No.
You didn't fire a single shot where it didn't fire,
No.
or the shutter got sticky or frozen
Nothing.
or anything.
Nothing.
Yeah, well, I think all of the cameras, the digital one kind of like dropped frames on the screen.
Yeah.
We still haven't gone through the footage, so we don't know if they actually performed or not. But the big sore loser
Here, everyone, please listen.
was definitely the Mamiya RZ67.
What do you expect is a studio camera?
I know. I know what I got myself into. It was really nice to shoot with it.
It's always nice to.
Because I kind of treat it as a point and shoot in a way. I just put it in auto mode and I just fire away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice when you want to have quick medium format shots. And it's the only one that I have that can do that.
No,
I'm
sure. It's a really really good camera. The shots from it are amazing when it works.
Yeah, but it was weird. It was behaving very strangely with the.
I think it was just getting frozen out of its mind.
That is true. But I think all in all, I was very happy with the trip, and I think you were too.
Yes.
Except for the few times when I was bashing the RZ, trying to get it to fire. I swear it's ridiculous. Sometimes I would just tap it like you would tap an old TV, and then it would fire, which defeats the whole purpose of having it on a tripod with a cable release. But at least I can advance to the next frame.
No, I think it was fun during the trip, and now we have a bunch of film to develop. We have 41 rolls to develop.
Mm-hmm.
You heard right. 41 rolls.
We already developed 3 of them.
We developed 3, so we are down to 38.
Right, so we better go do that, right?
Yeah, I guess that's good. We're very good on time, 55 minutes.
Right. So, anything to end this very first episode?
No, we're very first. We didn't actually say why did we choose Constant Agitation as the title for our podcast.
That's an interesting thing. Just to quickly answer Melon, not all colors, and not all films were color.
No.
But most of them.
Yeah, we have 3 plus 3, 6 rolls on black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is color. And from the color, we have some that are gonna be pushed and some that are going to be box speed. And on color, we actually have a lot of Cine and Vision 3. So that's a different kind of film, just to be sure that we say it.
Yeah, we tried to mix it up with pushing and different kind of stalks because we wanted to also use this opportunity to experiment.
Yeah, exactly, and to learn from it. That's
Yeah.
why I want to take notes about everything.
Exactly. We wanted to do a lot of content like that for the channel and for us to learn how it goes with pushing film, with different stalks, how they behave. But it's kind of it was hard to do when we're not feeling inspired to go outside and shoot.
Yeah.
So we kind of took this trip as an opportunity just to fire away. So in a sense, that trip was not just like the amount of rolls that we shot were not just for the trip itself, but also
for our own work. And yeah.
Exactly, to learn and experiment and see how using the film and these cameras in these ways will
So definitely a lot of chemical to be work with soon.
Right. Yeah, back to what you were saying. Constant Agitation, the name of this podcast.
Yes. You want me to answer?
Sure.
Yeah. No, we just were brainstorming a little bit what kind of name to name the podcast. You know, there's quite many photography podcasts out there. We wanted it to somehow relate to film photography because that's what the channel is mainly about. But not only. So we wanted a name that can also mean more. And since in this podcast our goal is that we're going to talk about photography, film photography, but also we might drop in things about other topics that we're interested about and that, you know, are bubbling and things that are happening in a constantly agitating world, as we are saying in our tagline. We thought that constant agitation was kind of fitting for us. And also we are Crunchy Fingers, which is CF, and now our podcast is going to be CA, constant agitation. So it kind of like rounded up nicely put.
Yep. And I think that's very well put on your side. And I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching.
Yes.
We really
and for listening, if you're listening in the podcast platforms.
That's true. Special thanks for those of you watching live in the chat. We love you all. Thank you so much for being with us.
And so interactive. It's so nice to see the chat full of things. Thank you so much.
Yes. And do we make a promise to be here next Friday?
We can do it a Friday thing. That'd be nice. Friday afternoon. Yeah, that could be. I like that idea a lot.
Cool. So we will see you next Friday.
Yes, next Friday we'll be here to talk about more photography. And if you want us to cover anything, of course you can reach us either in the channel in YouTube or in Instagram, or if you are in the Discord like we are with us, also you can reach us there.
Right. And have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Bye.